Edward Snowden. Edward Snowden worked as an NSA contractor. In 2013, he copied classified documents revealing mass surveillance programs. On May 20th, 2013, he flew from Hawaii to Hong Kong with encrypted files. On June 5th, The Guardian published the first story. On June 14th, federal prosecutors charged him with theft and Espionage Act violations. The State Department revoked his passport. On June 23rd, he flew to Moscow but couldn't leave the airport. For 39 days, he lived in the transit zone. On August 1st, 2013, Russia granted him asylum. In 2020, Russia granted him permanent residency. Supporters call him a hero. Critics call him a traitor. As of 2025, Snowden remains in Russia, wanted by U.S. authorities for 12 years. Ted Kaczynski. Between 1978 and 1995, the Unabomber mailed explosive devices that killed 3 people and injured 23. The FBI's investigation became one of the most expensive in American history. In 1995, he sent a 35,000-word manifesto to newspapers. The Washington Post and New York Times published it on September 19, 1995. David Kaczynski recognized his brother Ted's writing style and contacted authorities. On April 3, 1996, FBI agents raided a remote cabin near Lincoln, Montana. Ted Kaczynski, 53, lived alone without electricity. Inside, agents found bomb components and a detailed journal. On January 22, 1998, facing the death penalty, Kaczynski pleaded guilty in exchange for life without parole. On June 10, 2023, he was found dead in his cell at age 81. The case had lasted 17 years. Joseph Kony. Joseph Kony founded the Lord's Resistance Army in Uganda in 1987. Over 3 decades, the LRA abducted 66,000 children, forcing boys to become soldiers and girls into sexual slavery. In 2005, the International Criminal Court issued arrest warrants. A $5 million reward was offered. In 2011, President Obama authorized 100 U.S. military advisors to assist African forces. In 2012, Kony 2012 went viral, bringing international attention. Despite resources, Kony remained at large. By 2017, the LRA had fewer than 100 fighters. In 2017, the U.S. ended operations, citing reduced threat. As of 2025, Joseph Kony remains at large, evading capture for over 30 years. Radovan Karadžić. Radovan Karadžić was president of Republika Srpska during the Bosnian War from 1992 to 1995. He ordered the siege of Sarajevo, which lasted 1,425 days, killing over 11,000 civilians. In July 1995, Bosnian Serb forces massacred approximately 8,000 Bosniak men and boys in Srebrenica. On July 25, 1995, the International Criminal Tribunal indicted him for genocide and war crimes. For 13 years, he evaded capture, living under the name Dragan Dobić, practicing alternative medicine in Belgrade. On July 21, 2008, Serbian intelligence located him riding a bus. Police arrested him without incident. His trial began on October 26, 2009. On March 24, 2016, he was found guilty and sentenced to 40 years. On appeal, the sentence was increased to life imprisonment on March 20, 2019. Karadžić is held at a UN detention facility. He is 80 years old. Carlos the Jackal. Ilich Ramirez Sanchez, known as Carlos the Jackal, was one of the most wanted terrorists of the 1970s and 1980s. Born in Venezuela, he joined the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine. In 1975, he led a raid on OPEC headquarters in Vienna, taking 11 oil ministers hostage. The operation killed 3 people. He bombed cafes, trains, and shops across France, killing dozens. He was linked to at least 11 murders. He moved between communist countries that provided protection. After the Cold War, his safe havens disappeared. On August 14, 1994, French agents captured him in Sudan. He was drugged, placed in a sack, and flown to France. 3 separate trials convicted him of multiple murders. He received 3 life sentences. Carlos is held in a maximum security French prison. He has been imprisoned for 31 years. Pablo Escobar. Pablo Escobar's Medellin cartel supplied 80% of the world's cocaine at its peak in the late 1980s, earning an estimated $420 million per week. He ordered the murders of hundreds of judges, police officers, journalists, and politicians who opposed him. In 1989, he bombed Avianca Flight 203, killing all 107 people aboard. In 1991, facing mounting pressure, Escobar negotiated surrender terms with the Colombian government. He agreed to serve a maximum of 5 years in a luxurious, self-built prison called La Catedral. The prison had a football field, bar, and jacuzzi. He continued running his drug empire from inside. On July 22, 1992, learning authorities planned to transfer him to a real prison. He escaped with 9 associates. The Colombian government formed Search Block, a special police unit dedicated to finding Escobar. The U.S. provided intelligence support and electronic surveillance equipment. For 16 months, Escobar moved between safe houses in Medellin. Authorities tracked him using radio direction finding equipment. Escobar made frequent phone calls to his family, allowing authorities to trace his location. On December 2, 1993, electronic surveillance pinpointed him to a middle-class neighborhood in Medellin. Search blocks surrounded the house at 3 p.m. Escobar and his bodyguard attempted to escape across the rooftops. Colombian police shot them both. Escobar was hit in the leg, torso, and ear. He died on the roof at age 44. Over 25,000 people attended his funeral. Joaquín El Chapo Guzmán. Joaquín Guzmán, known as El Chapo, led the Sinaloa cartel, one of the world's largest drug trafficking organizations. His cartel smuggled tons of cocaine, heroin, and methamphetamine into the United States. He was first arrested in Guatemala in 1993 and extradited to Mexico, receiving a 20-year sentence at Puente Grande Maximum Security Prison. On January 19, 2001, he escaped hidden in a laundry cart after bribing guards. For 13 years, he remained free, running his cartel from hiding. Forbes magazine listed him among the world's most powerful people. The U.S. offered a $5 million reward. On February 22, 2014, Mexican Marines captured him in a hotel in Mazatlan. He was sent to Altiplano Prison, Mexico's highest security facility. On July 11, 2015, guards discovered his cell empty. He had escaped through a tunnel nearly a mile long, 30 feet underground, equipped with lighting, ventilation, and a motorcycle on rails. The tunnel took over a year to build. On January 8, 2016, Marines raided his house in Los Mochis. A gunfight erupted. 5 cartel members were killed. Guzmán escaped through a drainage tunnel, emerged through a manhole, and stole a car. Police caught him on the highway an hour later. This time, Mexico extradited him to the United States. On January 19, 2017, exactly 16 years after his first escape, he arrived in New York. His trial began on November 5, 2018. On February 12, 2019, a jury found him guilty on all charges. On July 17, 2019, he was sentenced to life in prison plus 30 years. He is held at ADX Florence, the U.S. Supermax prison in Colorado. Adolf Eichmann. Adolf Eichmann organized the logistics of the Holocaust, coordinating the deportation of millions of Jews to concentration camps. After World War II, he escaped to Argentina in 1950 using a Red Cross travel document under the name Ricardo Clement. He lived openly in Buenos Aires, working at a Mercedes-Benz factory. In 1960, Mossad agents confirmed his identity. On May 11, 1960, they grabbed him near his home and held him in a safe house. On May 20th, they smuggled him onto an El Al flight to Israel, disguised as a sick crew member. His trial began on April 11, 1961 in Jerusalem. On December 15th, he was found guilty and sentenced to death. On May 31, 1962, Eichmann was executed by the State of Israel. Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein ruled Iraq as dictator from 1979 to 2003. He used chemical weapons against Kurdish civilians in 1988, killing 5,000 in Halabja. On March 20, 2003, American forces invaded Iraq. Within 3 weeks, Baghdad fell. Saddam disappeared. A $25 million reward was offered. On December 13, 2003, soldiers raided a farmhouse near Tikrit. They found disturbed earth near a mud hut. Underneath styrofoam and a rug was a spider hole, 6 feet deep. Saddam was inside, disheveled and bearded. He surrendered without resistance. His trial began on October 19, 2005. On November 5, 2006, he was found guilty and sentenced to death. On December 30, 2006, Saddam was executed by hanging. He was 69 years old. Ayman al-Zawahiri. Ayman al-Zawahiri was Osama bin Laden's deputy. He helped plan the 1998 U.S. embassy bombings that killed 224 people. After bin Laden's death in 2011, al-Zawahiri became al-Qaeda's leader. A $25 million reward was offered. For over 20 years, he evaded capture. In 2022, the CIA identified a safe house in Kabul's Sherpur neighborhood. Surveillance showed al-Zawahiri appearing on the balcony each morning. On July 31, 2022, at 6:18 a.m., a U.S. drone fired 2 Hellfire missiles at the balcony. Al-Zawahiri was killed instantly. No one else was harmed. The Taliban later confirmed his death. Al-Zawahiri had been wanted for 24 years. Osama bin Laden. On September 11, 2001, 19 hijackers killed nearly 3,000 people in coordinated attacks on the World Trade Center, Pentagon, and United Airlines Flight 93. Within days, investigators identified Osama bin Laden as the mastermind. Bin Laden had founded al-Qaeda in 1988 and declared war on the United States in 1996. The FBI placed him on their most wanted list with a $25 million reward, the largest bounty in history. U.S. forces invaded Afghanistan in October 2001, targeting Taliban forces that sheltered bin Laden. He escaped into the mountainous Tora Bora region in December 2001. American bombers pounded the cave complexes for weeks, but bin Laden slipped across the border into Pakistan. For nearly 10 years, he remained hidden. The CIA tracked his courier network, following leads across Pakistan. In August 2010, they identified a suspicious compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan, 35 miles from Islamabad. The compound had 18-foot walls topped with barbed wire and no internet connection. On May 2, 2011, 23 Navy SEALs flew into Pakistan on 2 helicopters. They breached the compound at 1 a.m., moved through the building room by room, and reached the 3rd floor. Bin Laden appeared in a doorway. The SEALs shot him multiple times in the head and chest. He died at the scene. The operation lasted 38 minutes. His body was flown to Afghanistan for identification, then buried at sea. The manhunt had lasted 9 years and 7 months. Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler led Nazi Germany from 1933 to 1945, starting World War II and implementing the Holocaust, murdering 6 million Jews. By April 1945, Soviet forces were closing in on Berlin. On April 20th, Hitler celebrated his 56th birthday in his underground bunker. On April 22nd, he admitted defeat was inevitable. On April 29th, he married Eva Braun. On April 30th, 1945, at approximately 3:30 p.m., Hitler shot himself in the head. Braun took cyanide. Aides carried their bodies up to the garden, doused them with gasoline, and set them on fire. Soviet forces were less than 1,000 feet away. On May 2nd, Soviets captured the Reich Chancellery and found the burned remains. In 1970, the KGB exhumed the remains, cremated them completely, and scattered the ashes in a river. Hitler was never captured alive. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for similar ones and feel free to drop suggestions for the next video in the comments.